What up, street talk, street god, street vlogs? 동서이. 그거 잘 들었어요. Eric in the house, right? Some thoughts. This one is. Yeah, how to think like a kid, right? So, one of the great things about being a kid is 네, 오, 껐어요. Defroster, 바. 이거 추워요. 그리고 AC 끄고. 잘했어요. 네, AC 켰어요? 오케이, 잘했어요. Yeah, and so the great thing with being a kid is kids are infinitely curious about everything in the world, and for kids everything is kind of a learning opportunity. So I think the problem about being an adult is, you know, I think adults are bad insofar much as we tend to get too emo and morose about things. Like, just kind of like kids aren't sad and depressed, like only adults become that. Oh, you go parkour. And I'm kind of curious, like why is that? And I think the big reason is with the adults. Okay, 들었어요. 들을게요. 빨리 해봐. 빨리. 네, 잘했어요. Okay. And yeah, and I think the big problem is we're kind of trained and socialized. This fucking piece just ripped this shit off. Take it off. Yeah, we're just kind of socialized into thinking that it is virtuous to be servile, essentially. And honestly, like, okay, so also even with kids, right? What is the difference between a Montessori and a daycare? It's just a branding theory. It's like Montessori is just like a essentially daycare for that's more expensive because they can brand it better. Right? So, actually, something that's interesting is that people don't know. It's like Montessori is after Maria Montessori, who is, you know, this brilliant lady who came out with this concept for kids. And I think there's even this like Dutch or German school, just like let the kid play in the outdoors all day. So I have my own vision of the EK Monster story. Oh, if you want to enroll your kids, shoot me an email, eric@erickim.com. Teach your kids to be super duper geniuses. Man, even Sen's already like 1 year, 2 years, 2 months. He already knows how to code. Go, try this.
Next wave.
Go. Okay, try this. Yeah, he's on the iPad Pro. He already knows how to do Swift playgrounds. He already knows how to code himself. It's crazy. It's I just looked away for a second. He was figuring out to move forward, collect gem. He did it by himself. So this kid's certainly a genius. Whatever I'm doing is certainly working good. Yeah, 잘한다. And so yeah, I think the best way, you know, to train your kids or to think like a kid is yeah, like let yourself become more childlike, to become less regimented by rules and notions of proper decorum. I mean, even if you think philosophically, like even Nietzsche was like the Greeks were bus. Okay, 꽉 못. 네, 능소이. Driving focus. 핸폰 잘했어요. 큰 핸폰. 못. 능소이. Kids are natural geniuses. And I think we should indulge their curiosity. And also, you know, and also as adults too, we should yeah, just kind of like let your kids be more ratchet and to be more free range, I suppose. Let your kids live off the grid. Let them just kind of like, also my theory about my philosophy towards like, you know, child rearing, whatever, is that like about Okay. Yeah, 잘했어요. Okay. Essentially just kind of like honey 버스 찾았네. 이거 롤스로이스 고스트 찾았네. 하얀 색깔. 밖에 롤스로이스 있어요. honey 우리 아빠가 롤스로이스 할까? 아니에요? Okay. He says not to buy a Rolls Royce. Like Google Maps. Yeah, so I think it's 네, 우리 Whole Foods 중소에 so 시작 잘했어요. Yeah, so I think it's just I mean, first of all, just have a kid, right? It's like the best way to become like a kid again is to have a kid, and then it kind of sparks into your inner child. Like, and actually, it's funny too, because like, you know, the bias is everyone wants to become more innovative, entrepreneurial. The best thing is just have a kid, because like once you have a kid, it forces you to think again about like how's it like to approach the world and things carte blanche. And also it's like you have all these like, you know, Silicon Valley nerds, you know, trying to create $1 billion company. I'm like, what should I create? A $1 billion kid, right? And yeah, and just kind of like let your kid become an idealized version of yourself. I mean, also one thought I had is, you know, as a man, I think all men desire to have at least one son, is generally the gist I get. So whenever you see families with like 2 girls or 3 girls or 4 girls or 5 girls, like the I Love Lucy episode, right? Or 7 girls, it's probably a sign that they're trying to shoot for a boy and they didn't. But anyways, yeah, so the great thing with a kid is it allows yourself to be a kid again. And the simple thought I have towards, you know, what's the best way to raise your kid is essentially like raise your kid like how you wish you were raised when you were a kid, right? Yeah, super simple. Like, so essentially I let Sen do anything I wish I could have done when I was a kid. I suppose the nuance is, you know, certainly things which are super dangerous, you tell the kids it's dangerous. And the thing that's actually interesting is that, like, I essentially let him do 99.9% whatever he wants to do. But if it's actually super duper dangerous, 엄마가 진주추, if it actually is super duper dangerous, then I say it's dangerous 위험해요 in Korean, and then I don't permit it. No, 해봐. And then he actually, you know, obeys, right? And it's actually important because if parents are always saying, oh, it's dangerous, don't do it, it loses its meaning. A good heuristic that I got from best friend Nassim Taleb is never say no more than once if you really mean it. So even with Sen, when it comes to like, you know, critical things, like he really needs to, you know, time to really put him down or whatever. I just say it once, and then he kind of, you know, doesn't look like he wants to, and then I'll just stare at him and don't say anything, just stop and just stare at him, and then he'll put his stuff away and start doing it. So it's like maybe also with adults too is like if people ask you just say no and just stare at them. ... jump, and then you love it. And yeah, just stare at people and then just kind of see how they respond. Even sometimes funny thing with negotiation, you know, you ask for a certain offer and then they're like, oh, sorry, we can't do that. And then you just stop, pause, like let the phone go silent or let the Zoom call silent, cold face, just stare at them and just see them squeal and, you know, squirm in their pants, and then you finna get what you want, right? And yeah, and so I think the best way to be stronger, to be more stoic like, is to just just to become more laconic. Laconic means Lacedaemon, the Spartan, they just didn't speak much. And the funny thing is the really strong men, really powerful men, really manly men, they actually speak few words. You know, like guys, you know, who try to act tough, you know, talking all this smack. Guys who do, you know, like Jesus says, too much chatty, tend to be not as manly. The ones who stay to themselves are in the zone and don't speak much or talk to other people. These are actually the guys I respect. So kind of up. Okay, parkour. Parkour. So yeah, as a simple. 아빠가 캠era 여기다 넣어요. 아니 동전 지금 여기 있어요. So even as a simple heuristic, it's like in terms of knowing who to quote trust or not, people who gossip at all or too much, whatever, tend to not be so good because it signals some sort of sense of weakness. People who talk about themselves and what they think is actually more trustworthy, even though it sounds like less good. 여기 라시 여기 있어요. 이렇게 push up 이렇게. 잘했어요. 얘는 뭐 넣고 싶어? 동전? 동전 얘는 넣어요. 오케이. 네, 동전 안에 넣어봐. 네. And also put your currently shooting with a Leica Lumix G9 12mm lens. Just put your camera in the glove compartment. 동전. So 얘 안에 봐. 잘했어요. 여기다 넣어. 잘했어요. 옵시스. 동전 어디 갔어? 오케이. 공사. 여기 있네. 오케이. 여기다 넣어요. Yeah, and so just avoid people at the gym who chatty too much or talk smack. They just tend to be kind of weak individuals. 밑에서 push up. Okay. Also, I guess the nuance too is like I like to talk too much. Like my cardinal sin is that like I'm too social, too chatty, so I try to limit that. Parkour. 잘했어요, 하늘이스. 잘했어요, 하늘이스. 예. 아빠가 운전해? 아빠 이거 꺼? 이거 끄고 이거도 껐어요? 오케이. 이것도 끄고. 네. 이거 이렇게? 네. 아이 거기도 동전 있네. Yeah, and so 얘 넣을래? 오케이. 얘 넣고 동전 잘 넣었어요. 잘 닫았어요. 한이 여기 앉을래? 창문 열어. 오케이. 오케이. 한이 우리 홀푸드로 갈까? Okay. And yeah, so just like let your kids have autonomy, and ultimately, even for yourself, give yourself autonomy.